Thanks for downloading this podcast from Radio Kerry. For more, go to radiokerry.ie/podcasts or search iTunes using the keyword Radio Kerry.
Tomorrow, you're being asked to vote on a proposal to change the Constitution of Ireland in relation to the issue of blasphemy. You'll also have the opportunity to vote on a presidential election, of course, in the same day. And essentially, what you're being asked by the government in relation to this referendum is a proposed change to the Constitution is to remove the word blasphemous from Article 40.61 of the Constitution. The state guarantees the liberty for the exercise of the following rights subject to public order and morality: the right of citizens to express freely their convictions and opinions. The education of public opinion being, however, a matter of such grave import to the common good, the state shall endeavour to ensure that organs of public opinion, such as the radio, the press, the cinema, while preserving their rightful liberty of expression, including criticism of government policy, shall not be used to undermine public order or morality or the authority of the state. The publication or utterance of blasphemous, seditious or indecent matter is an offence which shall be punishable in accordance with law. What you're being asked to is to effectively delete blasphemous from that provision in the Constitution. At the moment, the issue of blasphemy is dealt with under the Defamation Act of 2009, where it's punishable by a fine of €25,000. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about it over the last number of days of whether it is, well, in fact, it has never been successfully taken that somebody has been convicted of blasphemy and fined that amount of money in this country. But in studio with me to air both sides of the debate from their point of view, I have Peter Hinchliffe from Abbey-Dorney, who is on the yes side of this campaign. He works with Atheist Ireland, and also I've got Mike Reedy from Ballymac, who is advocating and encouraging people to vote no. Good morning to both of you, and thanks for taking time to come into us this morning. Now, this debate hasn't got that much attention. People are kind of focusing on maybe today on the last few days, I suppose, of the campaign, because it is a paper, a ballot paper, a green ballot paper you're going to be given alongside the presidential election ballot paper, which will be white tomorrow. Peter, I'll start with you. Can you outline why we should be considering, or why you think we should delete blasphemy from the Constitution?
Yeah. Well, after a decade of campaigning for this week's blasphemy referendum, we are asking for a strong yes vote on Friday to support freedom of religion and belief and freedom of speech. We believe our laws should protect people from harm, not protect ideas from criticism. Blasphemy is a medieval crime added to our Constitution in 1937 and crowbarred into the statute books a decade ago. The Catholic Church and the Protestant Church, the Catholic Church in Ireland and the Church of Ireland, both agree that the law is obsolete, and they both agreed on the harm that it's causing abroad. Our blasphemy laws cause our media outlets to self-censor themselves, and it breaches our international human rights obligations. The UN Human Rights Committee and the Council of Europe's Fairness Commission have told Ireland to remove it. States that execute people for blasphemy have cited the Irish law at the United Nations as what they want introduced around the world. Voting yes will support Christians, Ahmadiyya Muslims, atheists and other minorities who face persecution in these repressive states. For decades, every group set up to examine the blasphemy law has called for it to be withdrawn. Voting yes might seem an obvious choice, but we must all make sure that people turn out on Friday and vote yes. So please make that choice. OK. Mike, why should people vote no tomorrow?
Well, I you know, there's many ways to approach this jury. I'm not sure where to start, because I'm not sure how much time is going to be given to it. And at the start, I'm not going to critique Peter's contribution, but it's important to know the context of this, really. It might seem an outdated and archaic word, but, and for many, you know, it never applied for many years. But, I mean, after the year 2000 and approaching 2008, there were a few incidences where people were getting a bit more daring, will we say. And Dermot Ahern at the time, and people in government and in the political and media circles were kind of embarrassed by having the blasphemy in the Constitution. So what he moved in 2008 was to disable the whole lot effectively. Now we've heard of enabling legislation to strengthen various things the government want to do, but Dermot Ahern went the opposite way. He disabled effectively, making it impossible to prosecute with the supporting legislation.
Yeah, it's talking about insulting a substantial number of the adherents to a particular religion.
He made a lot of impediments. Now, personally, I might come back to later on, depending on the time. Personally, I believe that was the wrong thing to do. No, but I'll come back to that later on. But this is the context in which we are voting tomorrow. Now, tomorrow we are voting to take out merely a word from Article 46, whatever it is, despite the fact, this is grossly incompetent as well, because there are 3 articles in the Constitution which acknowledge God. As long as that is there, if he was moving in a clean sweep to take God completely out of the Constitution, but he's doing about it in an underhand way, by stealth, because they are clearly embarrassed by the idea that the word blasphemy exists at all. Now, our Constitution, this is a Christian Constitution in 1937. I don't care what anybody says. The foundational, the preamble to the Constitution states that all authority derives from God. It mentions Jesus Christ himself. Article 46 says that the state acknowledges the homage of public worship is due to God, and that it shall respect and honour religion. Article 6 tells us that all authority derives from God through the people, legislative, executive and judicial. So it is quite fitting and normal, and I want to really get into the teeth of the blasphemy in Ireland as opposed to the blasphemy, we'll say, in Pakistan. It is fitting and normal that while free speech is protected, in other words, any man that doesn't believe in God can stand up, and Peter, you can stand up on the cross in Aberdeen, in your box if you like, or anywhere, and you can say that what Christians believe in is a load of myths and fables, and you're quite entitled to do that. And it has always been the case that people, if
have
they
the freedom to do that.
Absolutely, yes. In a kind of a civilised manner, if you like, and that it should be open. Any aspect of what we believe in should be open to debate. But why blasphemy is there in the Constitution is that the people who founded the Constitution foresaw that at some time people who are not so much atheists, I have no problem with atheists, but there are people who actually hate, while they know God exists, they hate him, but they find his laws convenient in their lives. So we have seen several examples in the last 10 years, both before an incident before, which motivated Dermot Ahern to disable the blasphemy legislation. Yeah. And we have seen several instances since that, when they got the green light, when there were clear instances of blasphemy. Blasphemy, it is fitting that it should be punished.
Okay, all right, we're going to let Peter come back on that point that Michael has made. If you have a view on it, get in touch with us in the programme this morning. We'll have more on the debate on the referendum after we take these. Yeah, we're talking about the blasphemy referendum, which will be asked to vote on tomorrow on election day. Peter Hinchliffe is from Aberdeen. He's advocating for a yes side. Mike Reilly's from Ballymac. He's advocating for the no side in this campaign. Peter, can I ask you, you talked there about, I suppose, the referendum and particularly, I suppose, the Convention on the Constitution, and also what the UN recommended that Ireland do, that we get rid of it. You said Ireland get rid of it, but the UN Convention, or the UN Commission, I should say, and what the Convention recommended in 2014 in relation to this was that the provision should be removed but replaced in the Constitution with a general provision on incitement to religious hatred. Well, the government isn't doing this. They've just dropped that, and they're just saying get rid of blasphemy. So it's not clear. It's not true to say that this is what the UN wanted, or this is what the convention wanted when it was voted first.
Conventions have asked different things over the years.
Yes,
I mean, you get rid of the blasphemy law because blasphemy is a victimless crime. And people are being persecuted. We've seen a chilling effect on the press in this country. We know of articles that have been removed. Only last week, a member of Atheist Ireland was on local radio and was told he could not repeat a phrase which had been edited out of a newspaper article. It was a very simple, basic phrase. It wasn't at all offensive. I'm not going to repeat it now, Jerry, because I presume you'll stop me. I don't know if you won't. I'll carry on. Would you? Can I repeat?
Let's just err on the side of caution for the debate, because I'm not aware of that incident.
No, it's fine, but we're in a blasphemy referendum, and I can't tell you. I can't give you an example of a phrase from blasphemy. I mean, I just can't do that. We have incitement against violence laws, we have incitement against hatred, and those laws will probably be bolstered.
Your argument, they'll cover the religious hatred side of it?
Well, what we say is that actions against people are wrong. You don't hate people, you don't act violence against people. But against ideas, that's a victimless crime. People have the right to challenge, satirise and mock ideas. And at the moment in this country...
Even if those ideas are strongly held beliefs?
Especially if those ideas are strongly held beliefs. How do we possibly discuss strongly held beliefs if we don't challenge them? And we can't rely on the people who hold those beliefs to hold sway over what the rest of us can say.
But what about the point that Michael is saying that there's no problem with challenging the beliefs? It's the drive to extinguish them that he's concerned about.
Well, there is no drive to extinguish them. That's absolutely ridiculous. Having a conversation is not a drive to extinguish. It's an aim probably to get to the truth, so we can carry on having those conversations. But what we've seen is groups from abroad, groups representing persecuted people abroad. There's an open letter being sent in by members, 24 members of a group who all of whom are persecuted in their own nations abroad by blasphemy laws, and they've asked the people of Ireland openly, please remove this law. It is being used by our states as an example,
to justify what they're carrying out here. Okay.
What their states are doing. And
Mike, very briefly, we're short of time here, Peter.
Okay, Asia Bibi is on death row. She's sentenced to death in Pakistan from blasphemy. Pakistan has quoted the Irish law verbatim at the United Nations in the defence of this position and to push for an international blasphemy law.
Okay. Mike, your response to what Peter said.
The point I was trying to make. There's no comparison between the reverence that we hold for Jesus Christ and what is permitted in Pakistan. You're not permitted under Sharia law. You're not permitted to reprint an image of Muhammad, never mind anything else. You're not permitted in Pakistan to not express views. You're not permitted to even hold them in theory. So you can face it. There's no comparison. Like I said before, there is nothing, nor should there be any impediment to legitimate discussion, exploring, discussing, criticising, challenging. But blasphemy means, as the examples I will give, mocking, ridiculing, holding up to contempt, to vilify. I can give you the clear examples.
But Peter, that's free speech.
No.
And you seek the right to tell me I cannot do that.
But we're talking about the limits of free speech.
Why would you want? We're talking, Peter. Everybody accepts, the government accepts, in every country accepts, there has to be limits to free speech.
Yes.
There are
speech
free
that causes harm.
Let Michael finish his point. I'll let you back in, Peter.
Is not or could not be an absolute unless you are a pure anarchist or libertarian. We all accept there has to be limitations, and this whether you like it or not. This is what happened. We became a Christian country. We adopted Christianity 1,700 years ago, or however long it is. 1,700 years ago, we adopted, when we got our freedom, a Christian constitution. We acknowledged Jesus Christ. If they wanted to be honest about it, they should have gone to delete the whole lot and see, but they know they wouldn't carry it. That's the reason they want to do it by stealth. They know they wouldn't. It's contradictory as it is at the moment. And there have been clear cases by, I won't mention no names whatsoever, but I mean, they just stick in my memory. One was a bookmaker who used the Last Supper. The other was a comedian. The other was, I read a review of a play there last year by Imre O'Kelly. She was, quite candid and frank about it. I don't have to describe what went on, but needless and gratuitous use of the resurrection, the crucifixion, even everything is held up. No, they should not be mocked or ridiculed or held up to scorn. Absolutely, yes. I would like to see them.
They should have been taken to court and prosecuted.
Of course. I would like to see Dermot Ahern's legislation redone, reworked for a proportionate to deter this, because when the blasphemy when it goes, it will be, they will take it as a green light to stand up on our neck.
Okay, let me put that point to Peter on the point that Michael is making there. And one of the arguments against has been, look, that this is just another step along a road that some people feel that Ireland's on. The increased secularisation, the removal of the reference of God from daily life, that this is another, it may seem an innocuous enough thing because the legislation doesn't mean anything anyway, but that it's just another staging point. What's your response to that?
I think the guardians of the bulk of Christian thought in Ireland are the Catholic Church. So I'll read you. This came from the Catholic Bishops' Conference, and the current reference to the blasphemy in the Constitution is largely obsolete and may give rise to concern because of the way such measures have been used to justify violence and oppression against minorities in other parts of the world. I know Michael doesn't want to talk about that. There are people being persecuted.
Before I get to the question, just on that point about what about the situation in regards to the politicians or the religious leaders in these other countries? If Ireland it does what you say and tomorrow deletes blasphemy, would it not change? It won't change one whit what they do.
If we vote yes tomorrow, you're not going to see the Pakistani government say, oh my goodness, Ireland voted yes, we'll have to change our blasphemy laws and stop persecuting Christians and other minorities. But I can tell you, if we vote no, they've taken verbatim the Irish law to the United Nations and pushed for it to be made an international law. They've used verbatim the Irish blasphemy law in defence of their own law. So if we vote no, if Ireland votes no tomorrow, you will see Pakistan and other governments standing up and saying, look, there's a modern Western democracy. They punish blasphemy. OK, we don't punish it the same way we do. They punish it. How dare they come here and tell us stop persecuting our people? How is this persecution when they've got the law and they've voted again to retain that law?
And a response.
And I just want to say the place it will be heard, the place it will be heard most loudly, if you don't mind, Michael, the place it will be heard most loudly is in the cells of women like Asia Bibi, who is waiting for the people of Ireland to support her.
And you've made that point. What about that point, though, that there are people who believe, with the number of things that have happened over the last number of years, whether it's to do with religious statues, references to religion in schools, removal of or calls to remove religious icons.
People of Ireland are moving and have moved
to take God out of
towards
public
a more
life.
secular state. And the fact is that the law is very slow, the government is very slow in catching up in the position the people of Ireland hold. 78% of the people of Ireland said on the last census that they were Catholic, and good for them, and they have every right to hold that position. But they've come out in the majorities and voted on secular laws because they respect the rights of people to live in an equal state where the state provides equal provision to all its citizens and residents.
Okay, Michael, I get a response to that. And a pitch for you finally.
I think I've made my points fairly clear. And added to that, it's just a word. It's costing 3 million. Their recommendation from the...
Where did that figure come from?
Let him finish, Peter. Let him finish.
3 million.
Yeah, it's around about 3 million is what they're talking about.
Plus $1.5 million for the report that they commissioned. That they shelved, that they're not going. That the recommendation was not to remove blasphemy,
but to replace it with a law on religious hatred or a reference.
Yes, not to strengthen it. Well, I don't. Is there any? But look, it is what it is. It's about we all in this country. We can talk. Free speech is protected, but when you go beyond to ridicule what we have believed for 1,500 years and to hold key aspects of the faith to be trampled on and desecrated on. There was a cross, there was a cross in Carntool taken down, cut down.
Nobody knows who did that.
There was, I know that, but it was taken down. There was, like I said, there have been several instances since, and it's needless because they have the Constitution already. They're not going for a clean sweep because they know people would reject it.
Okay. Peter, final word to you.
They're asking people to repeal the legislation they believe that people want to repeal. If you support the right to free speech, if you believe in religious freedom...
But Peter, the debate already in national radio has not explored... Has not explored these concepts at all. They only barely touched on it.
If you support all these freedoms, and if you believe that Ireland's international profile abroad should not be one that other states can use in defence of persecution of Christians... I mean, this is a Christian woman, Michael, who's going to be killed in Pakistan because she's said to have blasphemed, and Pakistan has used the Irish law to defend its position.
They can use anything. In theory, they can use anything.
Law, they could use anything.
In theory, they can use anything.
They're using that law. I mean, we've heard endlessly and quite rightly from Christian groups that they want people to stand up and support the people being persecuted abroad.
And this is, you're saying, the best way to do it. OK, we're out of time, gentlemen. I want to thank both of you for coming in to us and contributing to the debate here on Radio Kerry. Remember, whatever your view is, remember to inform yourself and also to make sure to take the time to get out and vote the presidential election tomorrow, and also on this important issue with regards to our referendum. My thanks to Mike Reedy and to Peter Hinchliffe.
Thanks for listening to this podcast from Radio Kerry. For more, go to radiokerry.ie/podcasts or search iTunes using the keyword Radio Kerry.